Alright, this video will be for technical analysts or enthusiasts of technical analysis, or perhaps you just want to learn something. If you are not one of these, just skip, you will not enjoy this video. Or perhaps save it here so that you can watch it later. What we are looking at here is Ethereum on the weekly time frame, and this may get complicated very quick, so do pay close attention. So here we have like two cycles. And what do I mean by two cycles? First, we have this dump right here. Yes, so from this dump right here, from the type of formation we're having in this dump, we can have targets to the upside. Second, the second cycle is the entire thing. So from here right down to here. The entire thing makes up another cycle, so we can also get some targets from that. So for the first cycle, I will put all of its Fibonacci numbers in white. So all of them will appear in white like so. And the second cycle has all of its Fibonacci plots in yellow. According to the first cycle, the next zone of resistance is at the 2.618 right here, which is at somewhere around 5,200. As you would know, after 1.618, if we can have a successful weekly close as we have right here, that is the next zone. So this is actually what we'd be expecting for Ethereum soon. For the second cycle, the next zone of retracement would be here at $5,965. Those are exact, by the way. I took some time to calculate them, which will be at the 1.618 Fibonacci level. So what was the important zone for Ethereum to cross for us to determine that the next zone will be the 1.618? It would be this one, the 0.786. You'd know this if you've been following along. So we did successfully close above the 0.786 right here with a weekly candle and had some sort of retracement back to the downside, only to go back and close above the 1.618 right here for the first cycle. But note that the 786 right here is from the second cycle. So according to the first and second cycle, we are actually headed up for this box right here. This means that it's quite literally the minimum we could expect from ETH. Yeah, the minimum we would be expecting from Ethereum is 5.2k to 5.9k. Now, why is this a bit of a problem? It is a bit of a problem because this first cycle right here, and this is actually why I'm making this video, I'm like guiding you through my thought process. We need to know which one of these cycles Ethereum is respecting the most. As of now, it's not that clear. What we can see here is that ETH failed to close above the 1.618 right here in this previous week. Yes, so you see that we closed just slightly below that 1.618. I did update when this thing happened, but now we've closed above it. And back here, we already closed above the 786. And closing above the 786, you already know the drill, yeah? From 786, we go to 1.618 and potentially back down and then 2.618. Now, if we are following the first cycle, then of course our first resistance zone will be at the 5.2k level. If we can't successfully go higher than that, potentially into the 5.9k region, then it would mean that we are mostly following this first cycle. That brings down the maximum we can expect for Ethereum. However, if we are following the second cycle, it increases how much ETH can go to the upside. And by increase, we mean that ETH could potentially go to $9,000, between $9,000 and $10,200. You know that we have the error margin at the 3 fib level, yeah? So 2.618, we have error margin at 3 fib right here. Of course, this 2.618 right here would also have its 3 fib, and let's just quickly put that. So 2.618 right here would also have its error margin around here, and that error margin brings us up to 7k. So you'd have that's 5.7k. You'd have a bit of retracement if we do get there, but we want to see if we can relate it more with the second cycle rather than the first cycle. Regardless, it all means that we come up here, but we want to see which one of these cycles we are like paying more respects to. If it is the second cycle, then our levels to the upside are drastically increased. It even means that ETH could go as high as 4.618 to 4.764, which means 15k per ETH. However, if we are paying more attention or following the first cycle more, then the maximum zone to the upside is sort of reduced. And by that we mean this 4.618 right here to 4.764, which is 8K, 8.1 to 8.3K. So you understand what we are saying here, yes? We are essentially saying that for now, our next zone is around 5K. So more than 5K. It should be more than 5K. 5.2 to 5.3 and potentially to the higher 5K level. So 5.7 to 5.9. However, depending on which one of these we pay more respects to, we will therefore know how high this thing could actually go depending on which cycle we respect more. Hopefully you understand, yes? Now, all of this is also represented on ETH BTC. Remember that this is ETH USD. Yeah, so we need to go to ETH BTC to see how it's going to outperform or perhaps not outperform BTC. Let's quickly go there. So on ETH BTC, let's quickly go to this one right here. We see something that we've been pointing out for some time. Some time ago, we did indicate that when Ethereum closes a weekly candle above this 786 right here, 0.786 right here, it will be shooting up like so. Why did we use this as the 786? Well, we suggested that this move to the upside right here was the biggest move for Ethereum since 2022. Since this big move here, this right here, just from this low right here to this high right here, that was the biggest move since 2022. So we led on with the suspect that this might have been the first wave for Ethereum, meaning that if it came back to close a weekly candle above this 786 right here, it will therefore enter the VFib system where it keeps shooting to the upside. Now, if we change this to the line chart, then you will see how that zone actually acted as resistance right here. You see how it was trying to close a weekly candle here and couldn't? Then when it closed the weekly candle, it then took off. So that's why we had weekly candle close right here for big move to the upside. Now, zoomed out though, the entire thing shows that ETH BTC should come up to here, and we're talking somewhere around 0.057771 per BTC, which will be the 0.786 Fibonacci level. What does this 0.86 Fibonacci level correspond to? It corresponds to this 1.618 right here. You see, as ETH BTC continued to plummet right here, I suspected that the bottom will be at the 1.618. But remember that 1.618 does not always mean that it has to bottom exactly there. You could have some type of move to the downside and then a continuation to the upside, but you will still be respecting that 1.618, which therefore means that our macro target for Ethereum BTC is from this 1.618 to this 786 right here. From current price, that will mean about a 78% increase on ETH BTC. In USDT, that will mean around 10.6K per ETH. For ETH BTC, the point where ETH gets to 5K, as we've discussed, will just be bringing ETH BTC to the second target right here. This 1 and 2 here is just for the first cycle we talked about. This entire move is for the second cycle. Anyway, these are just my thoughts. You let me know what you think about them in the comments. Perhaps if you have any questions, let me know. If there is something you don't understand, also let me know. But just know, though, that the big move to the upside for Ethereum will be humongous for every other altcoin.